Kian Voss squinted at the holographic transmission flickering before him. His weathered face creased in confusion. The alien's labored breathing crackled through the ship's serene systems. "My wives now belong to you, human," it wheezed, its bulbous eyes dulling. "Take care of them." The transmission cut out abruptly, leaving Kian in stunned silence. He adjusted his worn hat, a reflex in the face of the unexpected, and this was as unexpected as it got. "Well," he muttered, running a calloused hand through his salt and pepper stubble, "I suppose I'd better check this out." Kian steered his battered cargo ship towards the coordinates embedded in the message. As he approached the alien vessel, its sleek, organic design sharply contrasted with the utilitarian bulk of his own craft. Suddenly, a tractor beam enveloped him. "Hey now," Kian protested, wrestling with the controls. "Easy on the merchandise." The beam yanked him in, depositing his ship with a jolt into a vast docking bay. Kian donned his leather jacket and strode down the ramp, his boots echoing in the strange, bioluminescent chamber. Two figures emerged from the shadows, and Kian's jaw dropped. They were undeniably the most stunning women he had ever seen. Tall, curvaceous, with flawless azure skin and flowing cerulean hair. Their eyes, a mesmerizing swirl of silver and violet, locked onto him with an intensity that made his knees weak. "Howdy," Kian managed, tipping his hat. "I'm Kian, though some folks call me Voss. Long story involving sake and a lost bed in New Tokyo." "Silence, human." The taller of the two interrupted, her voice melodious yet commanding. "I am Esther, and this is Lou. You have been chosen." Lou, the shorter but no less breathtaking of the pair, stepped forward. The joining ritual must begin immediately. Before Kian could protest, they whisked him deeper into the ship. He found himself in a chamber pulsing with otherworldly energy. Strange, organic tendrils descended from the ceiling, wrapping around his arms and legs. "Whoa now," Kian yelped. "I'm not really into the whole tentacle scene." Esther raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement in her expression. "The garments of bonding must be applied. Do not resist." The tendrils wove themselves into an intricate, shimmering outfit that clung to Kian's body like a second skin. It was the most comfortable and most ridiculous thing he'd ever worn. "I look like a disco ball had a love child with a jellyfish," Kian grumbled, examining his new attire. Lou's lips twitched as if she was suppressing a smile. "Now repeat after me. Kian is not Kira number the..." Kian stumbled through the phrase, his tongue tripping over the alien syllables. "Kian is not Kira number the? What incarnation does that mean?" "It means I pledge my essence to the eternal dance," Esther explained, her tone suggesting it should have been obvious. "Dance?" Kian's eyes widened. "Now hold on a minute." But it was too late. The chamber's floor began to glow, pulsating with hypnotic patterns. Esther and Lou moved with inhuman grace, their bodies swaying to an unheard rhythm. "Join us, Voss," Lou purred, extending a slender blue hand. Kian hesitated, then shrugged. What the hell? When in Rome? Or whatever planet this is." He stepped onto the glowing floor and immediately felt a surge of energy course through him. His body began to move of its own accord, awkwardly at first, then with increasing fluidity as he synced with the alien women's movements. "Well, I'll be damned," Kian laughed, spinning Lou in a graceful twirl. "This ain't so bad." As the dance reached its crescendo, Kian found himself sandwiched between Esther and Lou, their bodies pressed against his in a way that made his heart race. A blinding light engulfed them, and Kian felt a strange sensation, as if his very essence was intertwining with theirs. When the light faded, he stumbled back, gasping for breath. "Holy smokes," he panted. "Is it always like this around here?" Esther's usually stoic face softened slightly. "The joining is complete. We are now bonded." "Bonded?" Kian's eyes widened. "As in married?" Lou nodded, a mischievous glint in her eye. "Indeed. And now we must consummate the union." Kian's mouth went dry as the two alien beauties advanced on him, their intentions crystal clear. "Now, ladies," he stammered, backing up. "I'm just a simple space trucker. I don't know if I'm ready for..." His protests were cut short as Esther pulled him into a passionate kiss. Any remaining doubts evaporated as Lou joined in, her hands expertly removing his ridiculous ritual attire. They tumbled into a tangle of limbs on a bed that seemed to materialize out of nowhere. Kian's last coherent thought was that maybe, just maybe, this whole inherited wives thing might not be so bad after all. Hours later, Kian awoke, pleasantly sore and reeling from the night's activities. He blinked, taking in the unfamiliar surroundings, the organic, pulsating walls of the alien ship and the two breathtakingly beautiful blue women curled up beside him. "Well, I'll be damned," he muttered, running a hand through his disheveled hair. This wasn't a dream after all. Esther stirred, her silver-violet eyes fluttering open. "Good morning, husband," she said, her tone formal yet warm. Lou, ever the playful one, nuzzled against Kian's chest. "Did you sleep well, Voss?" Kian chuckled, still marveling at the surreal situation. "Like a baby in zero-G. But I gotta say, this is one hell of a way to wake up, though I'm not complaining." He sat up, wincing slightly as his muscles protested. "So, what happens now? I'm guessing there's more to this whole inherited wives deal than just the fun stuff, right?" Esther nodded, her expression turning serious. "Indeed. As our bonded mate, you now share in our responsibilities. Our late husband was a prominent trader in this sector. His business interests must be maintained." Kian's eyebrows shot up. "Whoa, now hold your horses. I'm a cargo hauler, not some big-shot space entrepreneur. I wouldn't know the first thing about running a trading empire." Lou sat up, placing a comforting hand on Kian's arm. "Do not worry, Voss. We will guide you. Your unique perspective may even prove beneficial." "Unique, huh?" Kian grinned, reaching for his hat on the bedside table. "Well, I reckon I could give it a shot. After all, how hard can it be?" Just then, a loud alarm blared through the ship. Esther leapt from the bed, her lithe form moving with practiced efficiency as she activated a holographic display. "It appears we have our first challenge," she announced, her brow furrowed. "A rival trading faction is attempting to seize control of our primary shipping lane." Kian groaned, flopping back onto the bed. "Me and my big mouth." Lou giggled, pulling him back up. "Come, husband, it's time to see what you're made of." As Kian stumbled out of bed, fumbling to put on his leather jacket and hat, he caught a glimpse of himself in a mirror-like surface. His rugged, very human features stood in stark contrast to the sleek alien environment and his two stunning blue wives. "Well, Voss," he said to his reflection, a wry smile playing on his lips, "looks like you've gone and gotten yourself into one hell of a situation this time." Esther appeared behind him, her expression softening as she met his eyes in the mirror. "You will adapt, Voss. We have faith in you." "Yeah," Lou chimed in, slipping under his other arm. "Besides, with us by your side, how can you fail?" Kian couldn't help but laugh. All right. Let's go show these rival traders what happens when they mess with, what should we call ourselves?" "The Triadic Alliance," Esther suggested. "The Cosmic Trio," Lou offered. Kian grinned, tipping his hat. "How about the cowboy and his space babes?" The look of utter bewilderment on his wives' faces sent him into a fit of laughter. As they made their way to the ship's command center, Kian felt a surge of excitement. This new life might be crazy, unexpected, and more than a little dangerous, but damned if it wasn't going to be one hell of an adventure. The command center of the alien ship was a marvel of bioorganic technology, pulsating with life and energy. Holographic displays flickered to life as they entered, showing the encroaching rival ships. "All right, ladies," Kian said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "What's the play here?" Esther's fingers danced over a living console, bringing up more detailed scans. "The Zareth Consortium," she explained. "They've been trying to muscle in on our territory for cycles. They believe us vulnerable after our husband's passing." Kian nodded, stroking his stubbled chin. "So they think we're easy pickings, huh? Well, let's show them they've barked up the wrong tree." Lou tilted her head, confusion evident on her beautiful features. "Barking trees, Voss? I do not understand Earth expressions." Kian grinned. "You'll get used to them. Now, what kind of firepower do we have on this fancy tub?" Esther's eyebrows rose slightly at Kian's cavalier attitude. We are a trading vessel, not a warship. Our defenses are primarily. A violent shudder rocked the ship, cutting her off. They're firing on us, Lou exclaimed, her usual playfulness replaced by genuine concern. Kian's eyes narrowed. All right, that tears it. Time to show these yahoos what happens when you mess with a space cowboy and his gals. He strode to the center of the command deck, surveying the various alien controls. Is this the pilot's seat? He asked, pointing to a strange, organic-looking chair. Esther nodded. Yes, but Voss, you don't know how to... Kian plopped himself down, and immediately, the chair seemed to mold around him, interfaces springing to life all around. Whoa, Nelly, he exclaimed as information flooded his mind. To Esther and Lou's astonishment, Kian's hands flew over the controls with surprising dexterity. The ship responded, banking hard to avoid another volley of enemy fire. Huh, she handles like a dream. Now let's see what this baby can do. He pushed the ship into a series of maneuvers that should have been impossible for a vessel of its size. The Zareth ships, caught off guard by the unexpected display of piloting skill, scrambled to keep up. Voss! Lou gasped, clinging to a nearby console. How are you doing this? Kian grinned, his eyes never leaving the holographic displays. You'd be surprised what you pick up hauling cargo through asteroid fields and dodging space pirates. Now, where's that weapon system? Esther, recovering from her initial shock, moved to assist. Here, she said, activating a secondary console. But our armaments are limited. That's all right, darling, Kian drawled. Sometimes it's not about how big your gun is, but how you use it. He targeted the lead enemy ship with surgical precision, using minimal weapons to disable its engines rather than destroy it outright. The other ships, seeing their leader crippled, began to fall back. That's right, you varmints, Kian crowed. Run on home and tell your bosses that this trade route is protected by Voss and is, what do we decide to call ourselves? Lou giggled, the tension of the moment broken. I believe you suggested the cowboy and his space babes, did you not? Esther rolled her eyes, but there was a hint of amusement in her voice. Perhaps we should discuss branding at a later time. For now, we should contact the Zareth and negotiate terms. Kian nodded, settling back in the pilot's chair. Right you are. Time to show them we mean business. But first, he reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out a battered harmonica. A little victory tune. Before either of his wives could object, Kian launched into a wheezing rendition of what might have been home on the range. The juxtaposition of the twanging Earth music against the backdrop of advanced alien technology was so absurd that even the usually stoic Esther couldn't suppress a laugh. As Kian played, grinning ear to ear, Lou leaned in close to Esther. I believe, she whispered, her eyes twinkling with mischief, that life with our new husband will be anything but boring. Esther nodded, a rare smile gracing her lips. Indeed, though I suspect we may need to expand our vocabulary to include more colorful Earth expressions. Kian finished his song with a flourish, tipping his hat to his captive audience. All right, ladies, let's go make some deals and show this galaxy what the cowboy and his space babes can do. As they prepared to hail the disabled Zareth ship, Kian couldn't help but marvel at the twist his life had taken. From lone space trucker to married man and intergalactic trader in less than a day. It was crazy. It was unexpected, but damned if it wasn't the adventure of a lifetime. In the aftermath of their encounter with the Zareth Consortium, Kian found himself thrust into a world of interstellar trade negotiations and alien business practices. The initial adrenaline rush faded, replaced by the sobering reality of his new responsibilities. Esther and Lou, true to their word, guided him through the complexities of their trading empire. However, their demeanor remained oddly formal, almost distant. Kian couldn't help but feel a twinge of disappointment. Sure, they'd shared a passionate night, but now it was all business. One evening, as Kian pored over trade manifests in the ship's lounge, Lou sauntered in carrying a tray with an iridescent decanter. You seem tense, Voss, she purred, her cerulean hair cascading over her shoulders. Perhaps a drink would help? Kian glanced up, his eyes widening at the sight of her. Lou had ditched her usual formal attire for something decidedly more revealing. He cleared his throat, trying to maintain his composure. Sure thing, darling. What's on tap? Lou's lips curved into a mischievous smile as she poured a glowing blue liquid into a glass. It's a Centaurian spirit. Quite potent, I should warn you. As she handed him the drink, her fingers brushed against his, lingering perhaps a moment too long. Kian took a swig, the alien alcohol burning pleasantly down his throat. Whoa, he exclaimed. That's got some kick to it. Lou giggled, leaning in close. Oh no, I seem to have spilled some on your jacket. Before Kian could react, she pressed against him, dabbing at the non-existent stain with a cloth. Her intoxicating scent filled his nostrils, making his head spin more than the alien booze. I think it's fine, Kian stammered, his resolve weakening by the second. Lou looked up at him through long lashes, her silver-violet eyes sparkling with mischief. Are you sure? Perhaps I should inspect it more closely. Just then, Esther walked in, raising an eyebrow at the scene before her. Am I interrupting something? Lou stepped back, a picture of innocence. Not at all, sister. I was just offering Voss a drink. Esther's eyes narrowed slightly, but Kian could have sworn he saw a flicker of amusement in their depths. I see. Well, don't let me intrude. I'll review the Andromeda Sector reports in my quarters. As she turned to leave, Esther caught Kian's eye and winked. It was so quick he wasn't sure he hadn't imagined it. Over the next few days, Kian became the target of increasingly overt flirtations from both his alien wives. Esther would accidentally brush against him in the command center, her touch sending shivers down his spine. Lou continued to find excuses to get physically close, each encounter charged with tension. Despite his reputation as a ladies' man, Kian found himself completely out of his depth. These weren't just any women. They were his wives, and incredibly intelligent and powerful alien beings to boot. He tried to resist their charms, focusing on business, but it was a losing battle. The breaking point came during a particularly tense negotiation with a group of Relian traders. As Kian fumbled through the complex alien protocols, he felt a hand on his thigh under the table. Glancing to his left, he saw Esther, her face a mask of professional detachment, even as her fingers traced tantalizing patterns on his leg. On his right, Lou leaned in close, ostensibly to whisper advice in his ear. Her breath was hot against his skin as she murmured, "Relax, Voss. Let us handle this." The Relian traders, oblivious to the under-the-table drama, continued their demands. Kian, his mind a whirl of conflicting emotions and sensations, blurted out, "How about we sweeten the deal with some Earth delicacies? Ever heard of chocolate?" The room fell silent. Esther and Lou exchanged surprised glances. The lead Relian, a squat purple-skinned being, leaned forward with interest. "Chocolate? What is this substance?" And just like that, the tide of the negotiation turned. Regaining his composure, Kian launched into an enthusiastic description of cocoa, sugar, and the myriad forms of chocolate. The Relians were fascinated, and by the end of the meeting, they not only agreed to Kian's original terms, but also placed a substantial order for this mysterious Earth treat. As the alien traders filed out, chattering excitedly about chocolate, Kian slumped in his chair, exhaling heavily. "Well, I'll be damned. That actually worked." Esther placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch warm and approving. "You continue to surprise us, Voss. Perhaps your unique perspective is indeed an asset." Lou clapped her hands together, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Oh, I can't wait to try this chocolate." Kian laughed, feeling a surge of pride. In this bizarre new world, he was finding his footing one trade negotiation at a time. As the excitement of the chocolate deal settled, Kian found himself in a whirlwind of activity. The alien ship buzzed with preparations for the Relian order, and Esther and Lou seemed more animated than ever. Kian, still adjusting to his role as a trader, marveled at how quickly he'd adapted to this surreal life. "Voss!" Lou called, her cerulean hair shimmering in the bioluminescent light of the ship's lounge. "Come help us sort the samples. The Relians want to know about different flavors." "Right behind you," he replied, his heart racing at the thought of spending more time with them. He followed her into the cargo hold, where crates of alien ingredients awaited inspection. Esther was already unpacking, her movements fluid and precise. "This is the finest cocoa from the Zareth system," she explained, holding up a small pouch filled with dark, fragrant powder. "And we have some exotic fruits for flavoring." Kian leaned in, breathing in the rich aroma. "Man, I can't wait to see what we can whip up. I never thought I'd be making chocolate in space." Lou giggled, her eyes sparkling. "You're a natural Voss. Just think of all the flavors we could create. Earth's chocolate combined with alien fruits. This will be legendary." As they worked, the atmosphere was charged with laughter and playful banter. Kian felt a warmth spreading through him, one that went beyond camaraderie. It was clear both women were excited not just about the chocolate, but about sharing this adventure with him. After a few hours of sorting and experimenting with flavors, Kian finally leaned back against a crate, wiping the sweat from his brow. "Okay, ladies, this is going to be one heck of a product launch. I think the Relians are going to go crazy for it." "Indeed," Esther agreed, her eyes glinting with satisfaction. "And with your charming sales pitch, I have no doubt we'll secure a lucrative deal." "Charm? Me?" Kian chuckled. "I'm just a simple space trucker, remember?" Lou stepped closer, her expression turning serious for a moment. "You underestimate yourself, Voss. You have a way of connecting with others, of making them feel at ease. That's a rare gift." Kian felt his cheeks warm at her compliment. "Thanks, Lou. I guess I've had a bit of practice back on Earth." Just then, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "Attention crew, we are approaching the Zareth Consortium headquarters. Prepare for negotiations." Kian straightened, adrenaline kicking in. "Looks like it's showtime." The trio made their way to the command center, where Esther initiated the holographic display showing the consortium's docking station. It was a sprawling structure, a blend of sleek metal and organic design, pulsating with energy. "Let's not forget the plan," Esther reminded them, her tone sharp. "We need to present the chocolate samples, negotiate our terms, and ensure they understand our value as partners, not just suppliers." "Got it," Kian said, nodding. "I'll handle the pitch. Just be ready to back me up if things get tense." As they docked, Kian's heart raced with a mix of excitement and nerves. The Zareth Consortium was notorious for their shrewdness, and he had no idea what to expect. Once inside, they were met by a representative of the consortium, a tall, shimmering figure named Loris, whose skin shifted colors like a kaleidoscope. "Welcome, Voss, Esther, and Lou. I trust you bring news of exciting new ventures." "Absolutely," Kian replied, stepping forward with confidence. "We brought samples of a revolutionary product, Earth chocolate, infused with exotic flavors from our trade routes. It's unlike anything you've ever tasted." Loris raised an eyebrow, his colors swirling in curiosity. "Chocolate, you say? And what makes it so special?" Lou took a step forward, her voice smooth and persuasive. "Our cocoa is sourced from the Zareth system, blended with flavors unique to our region. We believe this will appeal not only to your tastes, but also to the desires of your people." As they unveiled the samples, Kian felt a surge of energy from the two women at his side. They were in this together, a team ready to tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. The tasting began, and Loris savored each bite with deliberation. Kian watched closely, gauging the representatives' reactions. The initial skepticism began to melt away, replaced by a look of intrigue. "This is delightful," Loris finally admitted, his colors shifting to bright greens and golds. "I can see potential in this partnership." Encouraged, Kian leaned in. "We're not just looking to sell a product. We want to establish a long-term alliance. Our combined resources could open up new markets for both our factions." Esther and Lou exchanged glances, their expressions confident. Kian felt a sense of camaraderie that transcended their unique backgrounds. "An alliance, you say?" Loris mused, contemplating. "What terms do you propose?" As negotiations unfolded, Kian found himself increasingly immersed in the process, buoyed by the support of his wives. He proposed a fair trade agreement that would benefit both parties, leveraging the strength of the consortium's trading routes with the uniqueness of Earth's chocolate. Hours passed, and Kian felt the tension in the room shift. Laura seemed increasingly receptive, nodding along as Kian spoke passionately about the potential of their partnership. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Loris extended a hand. "I believe we have a deal." Kian's heart soared. "Fantastic." As they shook hands, a wave of relief washed over him. He turned to Esther and Lou, who were both beaming with pride. "We did it." "Indeed," Esther said, her eyes sparkling. "Your unique perspective has proven invaluable, Voss." Lou leaned in closer, her expression playful. "And it seems our new venture is off to a sweet start." As they left the consortium headquarters, Kian couldn't help but feel a mix of exhilaration and disbelief. He had gone from being a lone space trucker to a pivotal player in interstellar trade, all while building a life with two incredible women. "Just think," Lou said, grinning. "We'll be famous for introducing chocolate to the galaxy." Kian chuckled, glancing between them. "And to think I was worried about being out of my league." Esther nudged him playfully. "You've more than proven yourself, husband. Now, let's celebrate our success." Kian smiled, feeling a sense of belonging he had never anticipated. "You're right. Let's go have some fun." As they made their way back to the ship, Kian realized that this was only the beginning of an adventure filled with sweet surprises, new challenges, and the bonds that continued to grow between them. The universe was vast and unpredictable, but together, they were ready to face whatever came next.